Hey guys, this is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com, and I'm here with our Week 13 tight end picks for DraftKings NFL DFS. There's quite a few options that we can look at here from basically all ranges on the spectrum, but I find myself going towards the low end and up towards like the high end for the picks that I think are the best. So let's call up the slideshow and go over some of the guys who I'm looking at this week. The four guys who I kind of like this week are Laney Walker at 5,700, Julius Thomas at $4,000, Greg Olsen at 6,400, and Jacob Tamme at 3,700. First guy I want to talk about is Laney Walker at 5,700. Jacksonville allows the 11th most points to fantasy tight ends so far this year. Walker scoring about 12 plus fantasy points in 8 of 10 games. So he's a very cash game safe play that you can rely on for probably somewhere in the range of 12 to 15 points at a minimum. Over the course of the last 6 weeks, he is actually averaging 7.5 catches per game. So than he has all season. And he has one of the best catch to target rates of anybody in the league, not just at the tight end position, but any pass catcher period. He's caught 45 of the 55 balls that have been thrown his way over the last 6 weeks, which is very, very good. The next, Julius Thomas, who's $4,000 this week. The Titans defense gives up the 7th most fantasy points to the tight end position. And lately, Julius Thomas's catches and targets are both trending in the upward direction. He's actually the 2nd most targeted tight end over the last 2 weeks. And his team should be trailing late in this game, so there's definitely a chance for him to pick up some garbage time. Especially in garbage time with him working the middle of the field, we should see him be able to rack up a couple more catches, maybe get close to the 5 to 8 catch range and somewhere around like 75 to 80 yards this week. And he also has a good chance for a touchdown as he scored one in the last 2 weeks. Next guy I'm going to talk about is Greg Olsen. He has the best overall matchup at the tight end position. Although everybody loves targeting guys against New York and Oakland, New Orleans has actually given up the most fantasy points this season to tight ends. Olsen is tied with Gronk as the guy who is the most targeted. They both have 92 targets on the season. Both of them are, second in targets per game at 8.4. Olsen's had 12 plus fantasy points in 5 straight games, and he's a big red zone threat for this team. He's got 6 touchdown catches already this year in the 11 games that they played. He's consistent, and he has upside in the top-tier matchup, which is the reason why we like him. Worst-case scenario, if you're using him in cash games, he's probably going to get you 2 to 3 times value, and he does have the upside. He's already, he's already gone for 4 and 5 times value at different points during the season, so he's definitely somebody that we should look at here, even though he is a little bit on the pricey side, but I think that only helps to keep his ownership down, especially in tournaments. And the last guy that we're going to be looking at the tight end position, even though I can't get the slide to come up here, there we go. Jacob Tamme. He is averaging 6 catches per game over his last 7 games, and he's also averaging about 60 yards per game. So you put those two together, and that's at least 12 points per game that he's coming up with in his last 7. At 3,700, that's a pretty solid floor that you have. He needs 14 points to reach value, and he's basically averaged that over the last 7 when you factor in the touchdowns that he scored. If Leonard Hankerson is out again, Tamme is the number 2 pass-catching option on that team behind Julio Jones. And for me, he's the best cheap play you can find this week at tight end at only 3,700. So those are basically the 4 guys who I've been looking at and early in the week are expecting to have a lot of exposure to on my rosters. Obviously, we're going to wait till the Thursday games come out and see how highly owned a lot of these guys are. If some of them are a little bit too highly owned, or if there's some value plays that open up during the week, there may be some other guys we use as well. I know the guys who were in chat before the game started last week, I kind of told them that, I was coming off of some of my earlier picks and went on to Antonio Gates because I thought his ownership was going to be low. He was in a good matchup. And again, he's a guy that I would have talked about earlier in the week in the video, but he was questionable at the time, and I didn't want to give you guys somebody who was questionable. So make sure you follow us. Make sure you get over to rotocurve.com. Make sure you sign up for make sure you sign up for the site. This way you'll be able to be in on all those conversations and get any of the last minute stuff that me and Josh and a lot of the other people we have in the community are talking about in the in the chat room before the game started. It's a great place to get some ideas and bounce some ideas off some people. And if you need some help in your DFS game, it's a great resource that you guys can use. Everything over there is free. So feel free to come over and sign up and, join in on the fun. As always, this is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com. Thank you guys for joining us, and stay classy, DFS.